morning, welcome to the garden. I thought today would be a good day to talk about soil constitution, what makes up soil. So, the main parts that make up soil are sand, silt, and clay. And then we have a couple of other ingredients, I guess you could say, we'll talk about in a minute. But those are the main ones in almost equal parts. Let's say it's 30 something percent clay, sand, and silt. And then we have trace elements of minerals that they're just there because they are. And then we also have decomposing organic matter, and that's in lower percentages, 5-7%. So then when we're talking about something is wrong with my soil, we can usually look at those main three and say, well, probably one of them is dominant. It's out of an even percentage with each other. So sand in your soil, you'll see granular makeup, just little pieces, the same you would as if you were on a beach, little grains. Silt is more powdery, it's the powdery part of soil, and then clay can be trickier to identify unless you have a big clump of it. You squeeze it and it's dense, especially when wet, or when wet, if it's in smaller bits and you can't identify, well, that's clay. If you feel it like this and it's slick when wet, then that's clay. And so what happens when your soil is sand dominant, for example, like, oh, there's too much sand in it. Well, sand is really good for drainage. You pour water on it and the water just goes right through the sand. So problematic then would be if there's too much sand in your soil, rather than in equal parts with these other components, then you're going to have water just ongoingly wicking away from your plant's roots, and they can't really. It's not nutrient rich for one thing, and then the roots also can't get the water that they need. On the other hand, a clay dominant soil will be compacted. I mean, that's what clay is, right? We build with it, we mold it and make little marbles or baskets and things out of it. Little clay pots, not a basket, I guess. The problem with that in the garden is it will hold water too much, and also be something difficult for plant roots to really break through because it's just so dense rather than a soft, loamy feeling thing that the plant roots can really get into. So you're looking for those three components in equal measurement. I don't know anything about a silt dominant soil. That wouldn't be necessarily our problem if we're troubleshooting here in the Southwest Desert. So leave that for someone else to speak to. Typically in the Southwest Desert where we are, if you are having a hard time with your soil and you're going, it's out of whack, if there's something wrong with it, you are probably veering towards sand dominant or clay dominant. The fix for that is lovely. It's just to add more compost. Compost is it's anything that's decomposed organic matter. And I mean, you can add manure, you can add compost, brown leaves. Some people like to add whatever they're amending their soil with on top and not mix it in. And I think that's a viable option when your soil's doing okay. But in the clay dominant soil, adding that stuff on top, it will take you years to continue to add on top of the clay part to build that up. So for me, if I have a spot in the yard where I know there's just too much clay there, I will dig in. So I love the no dig method for many reasons in my garden, but that I reserve that for soil that's got a softer feel to it than that density that really needs to be broken up in a clay dominant soil. I hope that helps understand the constitution or what makes up a soil, and maybe some of the troubleshooting that we need to do as gardeners when we come across a problem with, oh, what's wrong with my soil? Typically, guys, add some compost. That's really going to help out, and then mind what you're putting in the first place. Sometimes we get free soil from somewhere, and we got to think about, well, what is it, and does it have everything that I want in there, and mix some other items in with it if it feels like, oh, this is really sand, not really garden soil, or this is really dense, and just make sure we're blending in the first place if we're doing raised beds and things like that. And then if we already have come upon this garden, maybe we moved here or whatever, and we're just trying to fix it, I fix with compost ongoingly. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments section, or any comments to add to this discussion. If you want to really get deep into it, I would recommend a Dr. Elaine Ingham. That's Ingham with an I-N-G, I think H-A-M. She's a soil scientist and really gets into it with how to regenerate soil so that it's more productive for us as people who are growing food. That's my recommendation for further study, and I hope you're having a great day in your garden. Enjoy!